Hi, I'm Bill Patrick. The program you're about to see is part of a vintage series called Car and Track, which was originally produced during the first half of the 1970s. Before we begin the show, though, a brief program note. Using as many as 8 cameras to shoot a single event, Car and Track captured some of the great NASCAR competitions of the era, one race at a time. Over the course of some 80 episodes through 6 seasons, series producer and host Bud Lindeman lovingly documented a unique era in American motor racing. While the race action contained in the series remains timeless, the program itself has not dated quite so gracefully. Although the years have not been overly kind to Bud's decidedly low-key introductions and interviews, we believe them to be an integral part of this one-of-a-kind series. So please, stay with us now as Speed Vision presents a rare slice of 1970s Americana, Car and Track.
A crowd of over 40,000 race fans jammed into the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds to witness the running of this 1968 Rex Mays Classic. 24 of the same cars that started the Indianapolis 500 1 week before were here now, including the turbine cars. All cars hold their position well, and the green flag snaps down on a beautiful start. Bobby Unser outdrags McCluskey on the outside down the chute and takes the lead away. As all cars round out the first lap, Art Pollard moves up into second place to challenge Unser. McCluskey is third, Leonard fourth in the other turbine car. Turn 2, Raj McCluskey punches it, moves up on Pollard and takes him. Now McCluskey is second, going for Unser, and the traffic is thick. Suddenly, going into the third lap, it happened. Bay Darnell and Norm Brown lost it and crashed hard into the concrete retaining wall. Then Ronnie Duman in the Central Excavating Special, car number 81, hit and flew over both cars, ending in a fiery crash against the wall. Just seconds after the 3 cars hit and burst into flames, the fire trucks were there, spreading the chemical extinguisher. The heat from this fire was almost unbearable, but the crews went in again and again as the flames continued to spread. All 3 drivers were still in their cars, and these firemen worked frantically. All cars were still moving under the caution flag. But with all the workmen and debris in that first turn, they'll have to stop them. Then, with the flames just about subdued, the waiting ambulances pour out of the pits. It was later learned that this crash claimed the life of Ronnie Duman. Finally, with the chemicals spread like a blanket over the cars and the track, the fire was out. Now the ambulance crews could move in and get the drivers out of their cars. Lift the unconscious Norm Brown out of his car. He received third-degree burns over 40% of his body. Bay Darnell was not nearly as critical. With the red light out, all cars were brought to a halt on the main straight and were lined up in the same position they were in at the time of the accident. Bobby Unser in car number 13 as the leader, Raj McCluskey number 8, both turbine cars, number 20 Art Pollard and number 60 Joey Leonard were third and fourth. Here's Bay Darnell's car being towed away. This accident, one of the worst in the history of Milwaukee racing, halted the event for 33 minutes. Norm Brown's racer is taken back to the pit area. Grim remains of a $40,000 car. But the promoters are to be congratulated. Their workmen and crew did one of the finest jobs we've seen on any track in the country. With the track cleared, the green flag was out, and the race once again underway. There they are. Bobby Unser has that turbo off. He's screaming like a banshee. He's running away. Down the grandstand straight, Roger McCluskey can't shake those turbine cars, and all three now start to close the gap on Unser. Watch this. A few laps later, Bobby Unser dives down low through the fourth turn and fires down pit row. He's complaining about a loss of power. This is a tough break for Bobby. He was running beautiful. With Unser in the pits, Roger McCluskey inherits the lead. But Pollard and Leonard are right on top of him. And that's all she wrote for the winner of the Indy 500. Bobby Unser is out of the car. They push it behind the pit wall. He developed a split in the sub-tank, which resulted in leakage on the track and the black flag. From back in the fourth spot, Andretti starts to make his bid, along with Foyt and Lloyd Ruby. Art Pollard in car number 20 is crossing McCluskey now and tries to drive that turbine right down his pipes. Later, Pollard is tired of chasing McCluskey and charges out of the second turn. He's wide open. He passes McCluskey down the long back straightaway. Joey Leonard, in the other turbine car, moves into second as McCluskey slows down and heads for the pits. Those two turbines are running first and second, and they're screaming. Andy Granatelli has the clock on both cars and looks pretty happy with the results. Now the heat starts to wear these drivers down as Bud Tinglestad comes into the pits looking for a relief driver. The near exhaustion from cockpit temperatures of 150 degrees is reflected in this close-up of Bud Tinglestad. Meanwhile, Arnie Knepper, who was standing by waiting for a ride, jumps in Tinglestad's car, and the Federal Engineering Special goes back onto the racetrack. Uh-oh, watch this. The officials drop the black flag on Art Pollard. The officials black flag Art Pollard for leaking fuel on the track. The pit crew have the top section of the body removed and are checking the tanks as well as the engine. But this is eating up valuable time, and Pollard will be no longer a strong factor in this race. These alert fire crews at the Milwaukee race stand by with extinguishers for the entire time Pollard was in the pits, in complete readiness. The turbine crew, after checking the car over completely, claimed they could find no leak, and they sent Pollard back into the race. Now it's up to Joey Leonard in the other team turbine, and he's got the lead, followed by Wally Dallenbach in the Valvoline Special. Mario Andretti is running third, and Lloyd Ruby is fourth, pacing himself very well. 2 laps later, Art Pollard is flagged off again and back into the pits. Apparently, while the car was stopped in the pits, the tanks did not leak. However, at high speed, it was throwing fuel all over the track. Now, the Granatelli box score was 1 down, 1 to go. Mike Mosley comes into the pits, and it's another car out of the race. His turbocharged Offie quit in the third turn, and he coasted on into the pits. Look out! A loose wheel on the back chute. That pack of cars spanned around it beautifully. These drivers have the greatest kind of instant reflexes. That wheel belonged to the lead car, Joey Leonard. He lost it through the second turn and went hard into the wall, coming onto the back straight. But he's all right. Joey gets out of the car and over to the wall. And at this moment, the turbine threat is over. Andy Granatelli once again dons his mask of the boring loser. This race represented the third time out for the turbines. Also, the third time they failed to make the finish line. After the restart, Wally Dallenbach fires into the lead, and a battle develops between Ruby and Andretti for the second place slot. But Gordy Johncock, overcome by the heat, stops alongside the pit wall and changes places with Raj McCluskey. His car went out earlier in the race with magneto trouble. A.J. Foyt has been putting on a wild charge. In the last 6 laps, he's passed Ruby and Andretti to move into second place right behind Dallenbach. And now Raj McCluskey is pressing hard in Johncock's car number 4. As the afternoon wears on, the mercury continues to climb. Some of these drivers in the pits are almost glad to be out of the race. Uh-oh, A.J. Foyt, who's been running so strong, is in the pits. And this doesn't look like a scheduled pit stop. He brushed a slower car in the second turn and may have trouble. On the back chute, Andretti and Ruby pass Wally Dallenbach to take over first and second place. That does it for Foyt. He's climbing out. He's also a little mad, feeling that the officials should throw the passover flag to some of the slower cars. That rub he had in the second turn froze up his front wheel and put him out of the race. Back on the track, Raj McCluskey is doing a tremendous job in Johncock's car. He's moving through traffic like a hot knife through butter. Watch him go. On the 108th lap, Lloyd Ruby takes the lead away from Mario Andretti. Al Unser has moved into third, and Rutherford is fourth. Now Dallenbach in that Valvoline Special, car number 54, has been having a few handling problems. Comes into the pits now for a lengthy stop. Look out! Raj McCluskey lost it in the fourth turn, spun all the way down the front chute, and ends up against the pit wall. Roger's all right. He gets out of the car and walks over to the pit wall. What a shame. That boy was really coming on. Here, Raj tells Johncock how he really felt like running today. Gordy's reply, well, that's racing, Raj. With only 2 laps left to go, Lloyd Ruby is running away. He's flat out now and counting the money. Mario Andretti, who's picked up the checkered flag here before, looks like he'll have to settle for second place. Al Unser, who started in the 12th spot in his Retzloff Ford, is now running third. Ruby fires out of the fourth turn and takes the white flag. One more lap. Down the back straightaway, Ruby is still running wide open, passing the slower cars wherever he finds them. Of course, with a guy like Andretti behind him, you don't dare slow up. goes out of the fourth turn, down that long front chute for the checkered flag. Lloyd Ruby, the winner of the Rex Mays 150. He takes one more lap, eases down the straightaway in front of the grandstands, and receives a tremendous ovation from the 40,000 Milwaukee race fans. Due to the high temperatures, they said he lost about 10 pounds, but he gained $14,700. And that's just not a bad swap, is it? At one time, several million Studebakers were born in the city of South Bend, Indiana. Today, this automotive ghost town is the showcase for the return of the Avanti, a car built with such painstaking care that it easily qualifies as a labor of love. In today's highly complex era of sophisticated mass production, it seems almost unbelievable that a handcrafted car could exist. Altman and Newman, two former Studebaker dealers, are responsible for the Avanti II, which, by the way, we found superior to the original Avanti. The Italian body design of the Avanti is made entirely of fiberglass. The hood bonnet, trunk lid, doors, all fit perfectly. Our cherry red bomb rode on 15-inch steel disc wheels with 775 15 Goodyear tires. The front end is probably one of the cleanest of any car on the market. Air for cooling is drawn in from underneath, thus eliminating any grill work. However, it sustained high speeds on the track. We did encounter a heating problem. The molded fiberglass company in Ohio designed and built this special hood to accommodate the supercharger. And coiled like a snake under the hood, we found this little horsepower booster, namely a Paxton blower. This, coupled with a 327 cubic inch Corvette mill, added up to a pretty crowded engine compartment. The original model was powered by a Studebaker 289, with the substitution of the Chevy engine, which took over 100 pounds off the front wheels. Hey, isn't this dash beautiful? All instrumentation situated directly in front of the driver. All gauges easy to read and set in a beautifully grained walnut paneling to harmonize with the console. The wallop was fed to the rear wheels through a 4-speed Borg-Warner transmission. As on all Avantis, the seating is excellent, good and firm, yet very comfortable on long trips. A multitude of interiors are available. When we wound this missile up and popped the clutch, we had 30 miles an hour in 2.9 seconds, with enough wheel spin to lay a mile of rubber. On the second time out of the hole, we blasted 45 miles an hour in 4.1 seconds, and she had a good, solid feel all the way. The next time off the line, our driver got a beautiful bite, and all that power pinned his backbone to the seat. We had 65 in 6.8 seconds. Our Avanti ran the pylon course like it was on a rail. The front suspension employs independent coil springs with upper and lower control arms, heavy-duty tubular shocks, and an anti-sway bar. To maintain good continuity, the entire chassis is built up by one man on a 7-bay assembly line. In this slow-motion run, at 50 miles an hour, you can see that side roll was at a minimum. Roadster was a real trophy taker in the braking department. From 30 miles an hour, we shut down in 29 feet. At 45 miles an hour, we threw the anchor out and stopped in 57 feet. Up front, we had Bendix disc brakes with large finned drums in the rear. After several 65-mile-an-hour stops, the average stopping distance was 128 feet. But more important, every stop was a good straight-line halt. The Avanti gave a good exhibition of broken field running. The car felt solid and stuck good through all the turns here at our test track. In hard, fast cornering, understeer sets in quickly, and with the additional power furnished by the blower, wheel spin was easy to provoke. The rear end sets up on a rigid axle, 5-leaf semi-elliptic springs, direct-acting heavy-duty tubular shocks, radius rods, an anti-roll bar, plus a twin-traction differential. With all that muscle up front, you could hang that rear end out all day long in a 4-wheel drift. The car telegraphs beautifully. This dedicated group of car builders in South Bend turn out about 3 cars a week. And with it, each one carries a certain handcrafted pride of workmanship. It's a rarity today, and we take our hats off to the men at Avanti.